This is a training session regarding reconciling a purchase order with an accounts payable invoice. When invoices are received, in many cases they need to be matched up with a purchase order so the accounting office can determine whether we are getting the right price on the items ordered and whether we are getting a complete shipment of the items ordered. Logically then, the reconciliation of purchase orders is done as we enter accounts payable invoices. Go to the Accounts Payable menu and select Invoices. Here we can see our accounts payable batch entry system. For more information on entering normal trade invoices, refer to the training session on entering and processing accounts payable trade invoices. For our example, we're going to select one of our batches and add a new trade invoice. This time, we are going to indicate that there is a purchase order associated with this invoice. Because this is the case, the system automatically asks us for the purchase order number. We can click the Lookup button and pick from the list of our outstanding purchase orders. The system then pulls in the correct vendor number and information and gives us an invoice date of today's date. Of course, we can enter a different invoice date and change the invoice due date if necessary. We can also indicate if this invoice was paid by a handwritten check. All of these options are described in more detail in the training session on accounts payable trade invoice entry and processing. At the bottom of the screen, however, is some special information that is specific to reconciling a purchase order. We can see at the bottom of the screen that the line items on our original purchase order are listed. At this point, we can mark this purchase order as having been fully reconciled by this invoice by checking this box. The system will then indicate that we have received all of the line items at the price they were ordered and give us an invoice total. This invoice total should match the total on the invoice you received. If it doesn't, the invoice does not match the purchase order. If we do not click on the Mark as Fully Received checkbox, we can edit individual purchase order line items by clicking the Change button. We can now indicate how many of the originally ordered units have actually been received on this invoice. If we were billed for a smaller number of units than were on the original purchase order, then the system will automatically put the unbilled units on back order. We can also indicate the unit price being charged on this invoice. If this unit price is higher than the ordered price, we will receive a warning when we click on the OK button. That warning will tell us we have been overcharged on the invoice compared to the purchase order price. Once we have reconciled the correct dollar amount with our purchase order, we can continue with the rest of the invoice process, as described in the Accounts Payable Invoice Entry training session. When we click on the OK button, the system returns to the Accounts Payable Invoice Entry screen, where we can tag, prooflist, and post our batch of invoices. As a result of this process of reconciling the purchase order to the accounts payable invoice, the purchase order is changed to a reconciled status. When the system calculates that the purchase order has been fully reconciled, that purchase order will no longer show up as an open purchase order. This concludes this session on reconciling purchase orders with accounts payable invoices.